You and me, we survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and supporting the podcast that gives you history, encouragement, and some fun. This week, the nation is reeling from the tragedies of killers in California, Ohio, and Texas. And there are calls by folks outside the community to ban all guns. Do something, even if that means stealing the future of our kids. There is blood in the water. Lawyers and politicians, often one and the same, are coming to feed. This week, changing up a little bit, I'm trying to improve my show thanks to you. Lessons you can learn from Colion Noirs, conversation on TMZ, the media, and the truth. Final portion of our interview with pro shooter Todd Jarrett. Maryland shall issue an update and some little bit of history from the Bible about thou shalt not murder, the 10 Commandments, and a commentary about killing. All this and a little extra coming up next.
Blackmanwithagun.com, Kenn Blanchard's Pro Gun Podcast.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This week, I want to give a shout out to pewpewtactical.com, to Colion Noir, to Chuck K, to Clover Tactical, Chris, to Dave Coe, now at DeltaBravoCharlie.com, and my buddies Michael and Avery. This week, I'm going to work on the show a little bit more than usual. I got some really good feedback from William, Brian, Mo, and Bud. So I don't know if you feel funny about it, but if you don't mind, feedback is appreciated. It helps me. Critiques are good. How will I know what makes this show better unless you say so? Capiche? Comprende? Okay. This week, I got a chance to check out Colion Noir on TMZ. Now, I don't know if you know about TMZ, but TMZ, at first, is a tabloid-style news that based on popular gossip, entertainment, and celebrity stories. But it's now what local news copies. They're huge. And that guy, Harvey Levin, who reminds us that he's a lawyer, is skillful, tenacious, analytical, and logical communicator. And they went toe-to-toe with our friend and brother, Colion. Now, just recently, I had a couple of friends suggest that I bring on certain people like Anderson Cooper or try to get on their show, try to talk to some media folks to win them over to our side. But the truth of the matter is, brothers, is that they don't want to come over to our side. There is no good guys. If they haven't publicly announced that they were pro-gun already, they are not coming over to our side. All it does is give them a platform on our side. It gives them a chance to make us look stupid because they will edit out the crap out of your show. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I know what I'm talking about. I know there's a personality that you watch every week, and you think they're all right. But if they've talked about guns in any way negatively, they mean that crap. They are not going to switch over. I know you mean well, but I can tell you with 999% certainty that Anderson Coopers of the world, the Harry Levines, the Stephen Colberts, insert name here, will not, I repeat, not be converted. And they will do more harm than good if allowed on any platform that we own. The media today is poison. People are not reasonable, sensible, or nice. And if you are a gun rights activist and you cannot go toe-to-toe, control your message, control your presentation, it will be distorted, maligned, and misrepresented. You will be made to look like an idiot or worse. If you are a gun rights activist, your best bet is to get media training before you try to cross-pollinate. Now, you're safe on pro-gun platforms speaking to the choir, but don't get full of yourself and think that you're ready for prime time without training. It's not about the facts. It's not about the truth. And if you do everything right, they can and will edit you right out of the video. Well, just a few days ago, Colion sent a text out that said, hey, check me out on TMZ. And in case you don't know who Colion is, he's formerly of the NRA TV web series Noir. He has over 102 million views on his YouTube channel as of March 2019 and over 827,000 subscribers to his channel as of March. In 2013, the NRA recruited him to appear in NRA News videos, and the rest is history. He has more baseball caps than 80s rappers on Unsung. He is the undisputed light, middleweight, heavyweight champion of the gun rights world. His mama loves him like a son. He's a self-proclaimed ammo-sexual. He's the millennial man in black. He is Colion Noir. Now, to emphasize and to prove what I was talking about, I want you to hear the interview between Harvey Levin and Colion and see how masterful Colion does it. And if you can't compete up to this level, do not step up to the mic. When this thing was over, I took my hat off and bowed to my brother. He is the new Simba. I'm telling you. Mufasa said so. I know what he was up against. This OG is proud.
Welcome back to TMZ Live. Early Monday morning, President Trump addressed the media talking about the mass shootings in El Paso and in Dayton, Ohio. And he did not talk about one thing in particular that I think a lot of people wanted him to talk about.
He blamed everybody, never talked about gun control.
Didn't talk about gun control.
Why the opposition to just banning
assault
rifles?
Right.
That's the question. That's the focus. I mean, that's a focus.
Right.
But that's the question. And what is the resistance to that? So let's get into it.
And I honestly, when President Trump spoke this morning, I thought, I'm sick and tired of hearing mental illness being used as a shield against dealing with what you're talking about assault weapons.
I want to get into this.
So joining us now is a man you've seen. He was the face of NRA TV, one of their main hosts, and he is joining us now, Colion Noir, a gun rights activist, and as I said, former face of NRA TV. Colion, welcome to TMZ Live.
Hey, Colion.
Absolutely. How's it going? Thanks for having me, guys. Sorry about that.
We're good. So what do you make of what happened this weekend?
I think it's terrible. I think the interesting thing about when these shootings happen is we kind of all go to both of our sides and act as if one side doesn't care about these shootings and the other side doesn't care about these shootings. I think we're all trying to figure out how to solve this issue in this country, and it hurts and affects everyone. We just kind of have different approaches to how we think we can fix it.
All right. First off, I'm going to break right in here. I'll probably break in about 4 or 5 more times. This is going to be a different way to hear some news. This was brilliant. This was way to lead in, showing that we are not monsters, that our guns don't kill by themselves, that we are taking responsibility for being gun owners. It was excellent. And remember, you must lead your points and just pay attention.
Well, I guess more specifically, the focus certainly that the president, from what he said this morning, seems like the focus should be on identifying people who have mental health issues, as opposed to he said nothing about
gun control,
the guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think right now we have about 20,000 gun control laws on the federal and state level. I think at this point there's a level of redundancy to the idea that we keep approaching this from a gun control standpoint and not start investigating from a more nuanced position.
Well, and so Colion, I hear what you're saying. So let's make it more nuanced. We're speaking specifically about.
All right, you and I know this about the 20,000 plus gun laws that are already in effect, not excluding thou shalt not murder from Exodus. But Colion got that point through, and it was not debated.
Assault weapons, assault rifles, where you can.
Why not ban them?
Right.
Why just however many there are, whether there are 4 or 4,000 laws, why not ban assault weapons, since that is the weapon of choice for these crazy people?
All right, this point here is so fast, you might have missed it. Colion did not affirm that comment about crazy people.
So for the sake of Samantha, let's be very clear that assault weapons, by and large, are banned in this country. The actual guns used in these particular cases were semi-automatic rifles. And so right now in this country, we have about 15 to 20 million of these rifles in this country. Mm-hmm. So the idea that we're going to push a button and then just ban them and they're all going to disappear,
but why not
I think is a bit. I think that's a bit naive.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. But why
Yeah, but
not?
then there's also
Why? I mean, it's almost like saying, Chicago had so many murders this weekend. Why even have a law prohibiting murder? Why try people? They're just going to murder anyway. I mean, of course.
Well, you're not accounting, but you're also not accounting for the idea that we have a Second Amendment in this country. And then, as far as I'm concerned,
what does that mean? Explain what that means.
What it means? It means the same thing as that I have a Fourth Amendment right, a First Amendment right, and a Second Amendment right.
How do you view the Second Amendment?
I view the Second Amendment right from the standpoint in the way that it was stated, that I have a right to bear arms for the preservation of a free state and to protect my life.
So I have a question about that. Do you have a right to bear any arms? I mean, for example, in California, you can't have nunchucks. There are all sorts of things. You can't have a cannon. You can't have all sorts of things.
You cannot have.
So it's not absolute. Just the way the First Amendment is an absolute. If you scream fire in a crowded movie theater, that's not protected speech. So nothing is absolute.
All right, right here is a masterpiece from Harvey Levin. Harvey states some stuff that he can pull up on later that doesn't necessarily have to be true, but it's been said without rebuttal. Lawyers do this all the time in court. It's reasonable doubt. It's infers stuff. It doesn't have to say anything. It's innuendo. It was masterfully done. But listen to what Colion says.
Those same limitations apply to the Second Amendment. From the Second Amendment standpoint, I can't murder anybody with my gun. The same way you can't yell fire in a movie theater. If you do, you go to jail. If I use a firearm to kill someone, I go to jail.
Right.
The whole concept of gun control is effectively putting a muzzle on all of the people walking into a movie theater because you're not allowed to yell fire.
Well, Colion, I got to ask you something. We're talking about the right to bear arms. That is not, and never has been, an absolute right. So given that it's not an absolute right, that there are certain weapons you can't have, why not add...
Hats off again to Harvey, who was as masterful as the devil on this one. This is like when Satan told Adam and Eve, if you eat this fruit, you'll be like God. Yeah.
Assault weapons and semi-automatic.
No. The right to bear arms is an absolute right. It's the only constitutional amendment that has literally stated in it shall not be infringed. Have
you read the First Amendment? I want to make this point. Have you read the First Amendment?
Of course I read the First
Congress shall make no law. No. The word no is in there. No law. Yet there are laws. There are all sorts of laws. You're not allowed to threaten people. You're not allowed to, you're not allowed to use hate speech in some cases. There are all sorts of laws, even though it says no laws because it's interpreted reasonably. So hold on.
And now that I got you critically thinking and listening, listen to how Colion calls out Harvey's name, which is a tactic. Harvey did it to Colion a couple times. Interrupts your OODA loop, your train of thought. Then Colion masterfully reinstates something that he didn't argue about before and continues on with the truth and with facts. I won't interrupt you again. Listen to it now with the critical ear and learn.
We have 20,000 of those laws on the state and federal level.
Okay,
we're past the point of being reasonable at this point. It is an outright and complete utter infringement at this point.
It's not an infringement.
So, Colion, the reason
what do you use a semi-automatic for other than killing people?
I don't kill anybody. I've never killed anyone.
Well, what do you use it for?
I use it for self-defense. I use it for recreation. The people use it for hunting. There are a myriad of reasons why people own firearms. But for me, the most important...
Colion, we're talking specifically about the type of weapons that we use, semi-automatic weapons.
Well, you do realize that essentially every gun out now, every modern gun now is a semi-automatic gun, including pistols.
Well, it's funny because Donald Trump said, we've got to just make it so that we can identify mentally ill people better than we do. Colion, you're not nearly as old as me, but, I remember many, many years ago that all of a sudden, every time there was a mass shooting, they would interview neighbors and they'd say, he was such a nice guy. He always said good morning. So the idea that we're going to somehow solve this by this fantasy of identifying mentally ill people is bullshit.
How so? Do we not take the same approach when it comes to the idea of dealing with terrorism? We have systems in place right now which we use as indicators to justify or to determine whether somebody is a potential terrorist or not.
Yeah, try it.
Why can't we do the same? I mean, we just had a case now that happened. There was a shooting that was thwarted not too long ago before these shootings that just happened by a grandmother of someone who was planning to commit a mass shooting. And we were able to do that in that sense. So why couldn't we do that?
Get real for a second. Do you really believe...
Well, Harvey, you disagree with me doesn't mean I'm not being...
No, I know. But do you really believe that this country or any country has the capacity to identify every person who might have a predilection for becoming a mass murderer?
The same way I'm asking you, do you honestly believe that we can get rid of 400 million guns in this country? And
eventually,
if we can,
yes.
Eventually.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Harvey. There's still a Second Amendment, so that is a direct violation of the Second Amendment.
I don't think it is.
Talking about how could
I
you
think
not?
that's up to the Supreme Court to decide.
Like I said, it's
the only constitutional right that literally says shall.
No, it's not.
We just went over that.
We just went through it with you.
No, Harvey. You made a statement.
But you just, what you're saying is factually incorrect.
How so?
It's not the only constitutional amendment.
Because
Read
the First Amendment says it also.
Read the First Amendment.
Henry, so you're essentially validating my point. You are willing to completely violate the Second Amendment because you're willing to ban all of the guns in the country.
No.
The same Constitution.
No. And we're not talking about banning all the guns in the country. We are not
when you are talking
about
banning semi-automatic guns, yes, you are.
Really? Because
Colion, what I'm talking about is
rifles.
You're essentially relegating my protection and the safety of everyone else in this country to essentially muskets at that point, because the vast majority of
Are you serious?
firearm is semi-automatic. Absolutely.
Colion, the shooter in Dayton, Ohio, in 20 seconds, just 20 seconds, was able to murder 9 people.
Okay.
You don't think that that's extreme?
That's absolutely extreme. It's evil as hell. Which is why
I'm talking about the
firearm,
weapon.
so that if I'm
talking about the weapon that he used, Colion. You're going to tell me that the weapon didn't play a role in that? In the speed?
In Virginia Tech, he killed 36 people with handguns.
Okay, and let's
how
look
much time?
Let's look at
over how much time?
Yeah, over how much time?
That went on. That was a standoff. That went on for a long time.
He killed 36
because the time. That's what we're talking about.
Happen like
the speed of these weapons.
Because you could be anywhere in this country and get mowed down along with 50 other people in about 20 seconds. That's why.
No, I understand that, Harvey, which is why we want a Second Amendment so we can defend ourselves. That's why I want an AR-15 so I can defend myself with the most adequate means to do so.
So everybody should have an AR-15. Everybody should have an AR-15.
Everybody has an AK-47 or an AR-15.
If you have a desire to own an AR-15 for your self-protection under the Second Amendment, which allows us to do that, then yes, I don't see what the problem is. I'm not the problem, Harvey. The vast majority of people in this country are not the problem. We're not all killers.
Okay,
but what we do want is when the time arises where somebody does decide that they want to be evil and indiscriminately take people's lives, we want to be in a position to protect ourselves and our families from that.
Yeah.
So Colion, so if the people of America decide that they want to change this and they want their congressmen and congresswomen to actually make a law to change this, why wouldn't that happen? Is it because the NRA because the NRA lobby is buying up Congress?
I mean, the way this country is structured, we do have an ability to amend the Constitution. So that is possible. Since it's not happening, that should probably tell you that the majority of people don't agree with you.
Okay, look, we are clearly I mean, we knew there would be no resolution.
We didn't think we were going to be on the same
but
page.
We wanted to have the discussion, Colion. Thank you.
No, absolutely. And I really appreciate you guys having me on to have the conversation.
We appreciate you doing it. Okay.
What do you think? Last words, Colion?
Because the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed wasn't a suggestion. It was a directive.
That boy is good.
Good and terrible.
Don't be the only one that doesn't have a copy of Black Man with a Gun Reloaded by Reverend Kenn Blanchard. This autobiographic book weaves my life and the struggle of gun rights in America. Black Man with a Gun Reloaded is available on Amazon. Get the book that has a glossary of gun terms. My background as a CIA officer, trainer, and gun rights activist known as the Black Man with a Gun. Get yours now. Go to book.blackmanwithagun.com. This next portion of the show has been brought to you by Maryland Shall Issue. Maryland Shall Issue is an all-volunteer, nonpartisan organization dedicated to the preservation and advancement of gun owners' rights in Maryland. It seeks to educate the community about the right of self-protection, the safe handling of firearms, and the responsibility that goes with carrying a firearm in public. Join us today at marylandshallissue.org. On August 6, 2019, the Maryland State Police announced that they were changing their standard operation procedure with respect to restrictions placed on carry permits issued to business owners. Under this new policy, business owners who otherwise establish a, quote, good and substantial reason, end quote, for a carry permit will be issued such a permit without any restrictions. Previously, the permits issued to such owners were restricted to, quote, while conducting business, and a copy of the police announcement can be found on the Maryland Shall Issue site. Apparently, the Maryland State Police intends to take steps to apply this new policy to business owners who have appealed the prior restriction to the Handgun Permit Review Board or have appeals pending on this restriction before the Office of Administrative Hearings. We suggest the persons with such pending appeals contact the State Police Licensing Division concerning their status. Other business owners, those without pending appeals, may request a modification of their existing permits to remove the restriction by filing a request along with $10 check with the State Police. A form for requesting the modification can be downloaded from the Maryland State Police website. Now, please note that this change applies only to business owners. Permits issued to employees of businesses will continue to be restricted. Significantly, State Police have also issued a new SOP for carrying permits generally. This SOP reflects this new policy with respect to business owners and defines what constitutes a business owner under this policy. The new SOP can be found at the Maryland Shall Issue website as well. Now, while they continue to believe that all restrictions should be eliminated, we welcome this change in the state police policy for business owners. See, under this new policy, business owners at least need not fear an illegal or arbitrary arrest for carrying outside their restrictions under the vague while conducting business restrictive that was previously used by Maryland State Police. Maryland Shall Issue believes this is a small victory for common sense and the rule of law. Rest assured that MSI will continue to press for full elimination of the good and substantial reason requirement in the General Assembly and the courts. And let's talk about that. In the continued fight to promote and defend the right of armed defense that belongs to every responsible, law-abiding Marylander, Maryland Shall Issue is representing MSI member Holmes Whalen in an appellate brief filed on July 22, 2019. In the Maryland Court of Special Appeals, Mr. Whalen was arbitrarily denied a permit by the state police, and that denial was sustained by the Handgun Permit Review Board and by the Baltimore City Circuit Court. The appeal challenges the constitutionality of the good and substantial reason standard, and the state used this to deny Maryland citizens the ability to protect themselves in public. The appeal also asked the Court of Special Appeals to overrule its outdated precedent, back from Snowden and Scheer, on which the state police and the Handgun Permit Review Board erroneously continue to rely. And you can read about that brief at Maryland Shall Issue. This case may be established important new precedent in Maryland by making clear the right of self-defense applies to all the people protected by the Second Amendment, not merely the tiny select few favored by the state police. The state has 30 days to file a brief, after which they have 20 days to file a reply. And the case is tentatively set for oral argument before the Court of Special Appeals in Annapolis in November. The case has drawn quite a lot of press. The original article was published in the Frederick News Post, and the report was picked up and published by Fox News and API, which is pretty cool. I talked about it last week. Check out marylandshallissue.org for more information about what's going on in Maryland.
This portion of the show is sponsored by CrossbreedHolsters.com. Crossbreed Holsters has gained national recognition as a maker of the best and most functional concealment holsters available on the market today. Each holster is handcrafted to ensure your firearm is safe and secure while carrying, combined with the best customer service in the industry. Visit CrossbreedHolsters.com.
There's a lot of talk right now about mass shooters. And mass shooting sounds better, but is really, to me, just a public murder-suicide. While everyone outside of our community is blaming the gun, I've just noticed something about the killers of innocent people. It's more to it than mass shooting. I call it murder-suicide. Because they don't have an exit or an escape plan. They intend and expect to die by the end of their escapade, by cop or by citizen. They're just planning to hurt people on the way to hell. Think about that for a minute. Most are not trying to go anywhere. The last couple of them have chickened out and decided to either end their own life, surrender, hide, pretend that they were not a shooter. But for the most part, in the beginning, it was a kamikaze raid. It was a one-shot deal. They were going to go for it, kill people because of their pain, just like the folks that do it, and kill their immediate family. Now they indiscriminately killed the public. From the Texas Tower killer to the murderer in El Paso, it's still murder. Don't give the killers a pass and blame the guns. It's the people, the men, the boys, the hopeless, evil-doing malefactors, wrongdoing, hell-bound haters of life. Philosophically and sociologically, we're the most relentless yet oblivious killers on earth. Our violence operates far outside the bounds of any other species. Human beings kill anything. Slaughter is a defining behavior of our species. We kill all other creatures and we kill our own. If you watch the news, watch yesterday's or tomorrow's, the enormous industry of print and broadcast journalism serves predominantly to document our killing. Violence exists in the animal world, of course, but on a far different scale. You got to look at the animal planet to find out. Carnivores kill for food. We kill our family members, our children, our parents, our spouses, our brothers and sisters, our cousins, our in-laws. We kill strangers. We kill people who are different from us in appearance, belief, race, and social status. We kill ourselves in suicide. We kill for advantage and for revenge. We kill for entertainment. And the Roman Colosseum is a long time ago. But drive-by shootings, bullfights, animal roadkill, almost an instantaneous reflex for sport. We kill friends, rivals, co-workers, and classmates. Children kill children in school and on the playground. They kill grandparents and parents, fathers, mothers, all kill, and all of them are the targets of killing. Another thing that's really messed up is that males, boys, men, and the males of other mammalian species are inherently violent, and they are responsible for the vast majority of violent death. This is from R. Douglas Fields in a story that he wrote called Why We Snap. We carry for recreation, for sport, for collection, and most importantly, to protect ourselves from those who kill. Just let you know that we can all prevent suicide. There's a lifeline that provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention and crisis resources for anybody, and there's best practices for professionals to give out as well. That number is 1-800-273-8255. It's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. If you know anybody who's heading that direction, 1-800-273-8255. According to historical calculations, it was in approximately 1300 BC that Moses received a list of 10 laws directly from God. These laws were known as the 10 Commandments, and they were transcribed as part of the Book of Moses, which later became part of the Bible. In Exodus 20, verse 13, it says, "You shall not murder." In the original text, it was changed to kill in the King James Version for brevity, but then it has a different meaning. Can I talk about that for a hot second before I let you go? In this commandment, God establishes himself as the sole and sovereign giver, sustainer, and taker of life. "You shall not murder" was not designed to give his children the right to choose. Rather, it was designed to make one thing very clear: do not kill. Murder is the taking of a life, and every life beginning at conception is not only given by God, but also taken by God at his choosing. Human life is sacred because God is involved from beginning to end. And of course, there are many who have opinions concerning biblical exceptions. John Calvin, for example, was careful to say that this commandment meant that we must defend the lives of others. The great commentator Matthew Henry and I believe this command does not exclude the taking of life in, quote, lawful war, the necessity of defense of personhood, in a home invasion, for example, and also in the death sentence in a proven case of murder. There are many places in Hebrew scriptures that command or condone warfare, and several methods of capital punishment. Now, while there is much in the Jewish tradition that attempts to limit war and capital punishment, and the biblical prophets indicated that God prefers justice and mercy, it can't be denied that some forms of killing are acceptable according to Judaism. First, the verb used in the Torah commandment is ratzah, which generally is translated as murder and refers only to criminal acts of killing a human being. The word kill generally refers to taking of life for all classes of victims and for all reasons, and this generalization is expressed through a whole different word in Hebrew called harag. The Hebrew expression that we talk about, the 10 Commandments, which occurs 3 times in the Old Testament, literally means 10 words, and this is why Exodus 20 is often referred to as the Decalogue, deca being the Greek word for 10, and logos, meaning word. These are the 10 words that God gave the Israelites on Mount Sinai, and I would argue the 10 words that God wants all of us to follow. Thou shalt not murder. Simple enough. And while I'm journeying through here free of charge, let me give you a little plug for SpeakLifePodcast.com. It's my other podcast, which is doing pretty good. It ministers to folks like us. Comes out every week. SpeakLifePodcast.com.
Speak Life Podcast.
All right, next up is the last part of our interview with Todd Jarrett, a good friend of ours. And here we go. Do you still teach individuals, or you got to be like law enforcement or military before they can get the great Todd Jarrett?
No, I don't teach as many single classes anymore, individuals. I do them from time to time. I get people here locally. They go like, "Hey, Todd, can you get me on the range?" I went, "Yeah, I can, but it's going to be Wednesday, 3 months from now, because I'm flying back on a Tuesday morning, and I got Wednesday off, and I fly out again Thursday." So I do private classes from time to time, but I do group classes often, and so I pretty much enjoy still doing that. And I really want to teach the competition side, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a law enforcement, military, or government agency guy, and you jump into one of my competition classes, it's all about shooting. It's all technique driven. It's all, like I tell everybody, I've shot 6 million rounds in my life now. I can actually document and say I've done that. But I wasted 1 million rounds learning how to shoot, because in the 80s, I mean, there was no YouTube, there was no, no internet. There's nothing to, you were getting them out of a book, which was very few, or right. You were, getting by word of mouth. It's going like, you would go like, "Hey, Todd, you ought to try this, man." And it's going like, yeah. And then, you wouldn't want to tell your competition what you run into. And that was kind of cool. You could find stuff and, from a manufacturer or somebody who was making a new tool or a new sight or something, and which made you, more accurate. And which a lot of that was going on in the 80s, but we were in major development mode, with holsters and firearms and bullets and magazines and springs and, stuff that were, we were having problems with, okay, who can make this? And I was kind of like, well, if you can't make it, I'll make it. And so we got to the point where we were figuring out all those things. And so, yeah, but today it's, you go on YouTube and find, 500 videos on Todd, talking about everything. So it's, I can take someone now, I could take Kenn to the range today, and I'll show you in 30 minutes the techniques that I feel work for 95% of the, the shooting public. And I can 30 minutes give you 10 years of hardcore sweating my butt off, burning up 1 million rounds. This is the way you got to do it. And you're going to be a better shot because of it. So I did 10 years of hard work, that I can show you all the techniques in basically 30 minutes on, everything from how to stand, how to hold the gun, how to grip the gun, how to pull the trigger, what sights to look for, what to look for, I mean, it's that easy anymore. And so all the new kids who are coming out and they're shooting the game, they just go on YouTube and all that stuff is there. All that stuff is, we're chatting about it and doing new classes, and whether it be Rob Latham or myself or 4 or 5 of the other top guys out there, who are okay, just do this and this is the best way, and why reinvent the wheel? And so you're always going to have that guy who wants to reinvent the wheel for something he's done. I'll come out with this technique, Todd. What do you think about it, man? Well, we tried that back in the 80s and it didn't work. And so you can spend a lot of extra time and go right after it. I mean, there's always going to be that guy who's going to come up with something new that I was going like, wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's, I'm like super stoked that you actually, put the time and effort into, to change a technique that we developed years ago that might be able to, that I can rob from you. I mean, I can use it for competition. And so, which is, you need that. So, I mean, I talk about this in a sense where are we going in the future if the government says, okay, guess what, people, we're getting rid of guns, can't have them, but the military can still have them. We still need to protect the homeland. And so my whole thing is I tell legislators all the time, it's kind of like, guess what? Guess where all that stuff is coming from, all that development, all the new firearms, all the new, accessories, everything comes from the private sector. It comes from the guys in competition who wants to make a faster holster or a better part or a better gun or development. I mean, you're not going to get that. Once you tell us we can't do it anymore, we're going fishing. And so, what's going to happen then? So it's you're going to cease to have exist new technology because it all comes from guys like me, who develop something in my garage and end up going to SHOT Show and, 15 years later, 20 years later, I mean, okay, I got 100 people working for me making this great new product that the government's buying from me. So it's, that's the sad part that's coming down the road. And obviously, they don't care, so they don't want that. So, but yeah.
All right, cool, man. So where can we find you next? What are you heading off to next?
I am leaving in the morning for Austin, Texas, to go for a sales meeting this week at STI. And then I'm going to be next weekend, going to be at a place called Frontline Defense in North Carolina and Warrenton County, shooting long range PRS. And then my calendar is booked now through Thanksgiving. And so I'm going somewhere. I'm going the whole month of August, September, October, and November. So I'm doing everything from PRS to USPSA, all the national events coming up here are usually in September and October. And so I'm traveling all over the place, and I'm going to be doing 2011 experiences across the country for STI. So I'll be going to indoor ranges and showing off the STI products. And if you guys out there following me on Facebook or Instagram, look up Todd Jarrett. Check out my athlete page and my Instagram, and you'll see where I'm traveling to in the future. So so that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I'm loving life and hating living in hotel rooms and have to deal with airports for guns, but it's worth it once I get there.
All right, man. Thank you for taking time out on your busy schedule to catch me up so I can share all this good information with my folks.
Well, Ken, you know what? I want you to keep it up and keep it going, man. We need more people like you. And you and I have known each other for a long time, and I'm a fan of yours. So, I don't care what you change your name to. Okay. you're still kin to me. I don't care what you call yourself or whatever. You're still kin to me, and I want you to keep out there and keep at it. And anything else I can do for you, my friend, you let me know. Okay.
That'll work, man. Thank you so much.
You got it. Have a great one, my friend.
Well, all right, that's it for this week. Remember that politicians and the media rise and fall on gun control. This is my attempt to give you the facts so that you can not be used, manipulated, or moved to act against your best interests. Until next week, this is your friend and brother Kenn Blanchard. Just in case nobody has told you this today, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Until next time, shalom, baby.
Until next time, friends.
To keep in touch with Kenn and his cause, head over to blackmanwithagun.com.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, if you're not already subscribed and a member of our app, you can get the app that's supported by our Patreons. Yes, it's at blackmanwithagun.org. It's a free app for our podcast and for everything that I do. blackmanwithagun.org, paid for by supporters like you on our Patreon page, patreon.com/blackmanwithagun.